open a cold one, kick back, and enjoy a week's worth of conversation from pop culture, sports, breaking news, and everything in between. Welcome to the Pine Room Podcast. At the beginning of the podcast each week, everyone on the show rolls a 20-sided die. The person who rolls the lowest number then becomes the moderator for that week's show, and it's their job to move the conversation along and switch from various topics or questions that can be found on the moderator's cheat sheet, or custom ones they've brought in themselves. If you have a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss, send us an email to contact@thepineroompodcast.com. Well, that's enough of that. Let's get into the show. You're listening to the Pine Room Podcast.
And we're back. And we're back. Episode 125 of the Pine Room Podcast. To my right, I have a guy by the name of Matthew Watson, Tyler Cooley, and a guy by the name of Jubber Jub and the Funky Bunch, Del Brook.
Hello. Hello.
Greetings.
How's everybody doing tonight, fellas?
Good, Jeffrey.
A little worn out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Like, guys, long day of the radio?
Yeah. Yeah. But that long day, had a lot of guests today.
Yes,
talked
full
to a lot
show.
of people. Matt does a gracious job at keeping those going and keeping conversations
thank
flowing.
God for Matt.
Because a lot of stuff goes on the radio in 3 hours, and to keep that going is pretty.
Tell you what, people don't understand, and this just isn't with radio, but when you carry either, whether it's trying to be a radio personality or the fact of the matter, you have a job that you have to quote unquote be up, and you have to be the motivator, on how mentally fucking draining that is.
No question about it.
There's no doubt about it.
I'd rather dig ditches sometimes.
You know what? And it's so true. And I know that the opposite side of the world probably make fun of us that are digging
Yes.
ditches and do blue collar work, which I respect those people to a T, because I know that I'm not cut out for that day in and day out.
Digging in the crystal mines of
I mean, blue collar people and stuff like that, I respect the fuck out of them, but they need to respect the other side. I know that a lot of times people would talk about, even when I worked in the hospital, and they would say, no, all you got to do is work 3 12-hour shifts. So I don't understand why when you deal with fucking people all day, and sick people and people whining and crying, and you're dealing with families and they want everything but your left testicle. I mean, it's a brutal thing. So
Do you guys think that there's a major difference between mental fatigue and physical fatigue? Because to me,
1000%.
the body fatigue, the physical fatigue, I am all right with that at the end of the day. Like, if I'm exhausted, I'm not saying I want to do it every day, but if you're working somewhere, you're doing a project, whatever, it's a different type of relaxation at the end of the night. Whereas the mental fatigue, my head hurts so bad, it's hard to relax.
Yeah, it's like you feel good after you do a run or a walk or a swim or whatever.
Get a good sweat.
You feel good, and even the next day when you're sore and you feel good.
Somewhat rewarding.
But if your brain, like even like right now, I just feel like my head has like extra water
right behind my eyes.
Yeah.
It's just like pressure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know whether that's like. I don't know, because before radio, because today I just came in and I had to like deal with like some issues with people who wanted changes to their promos for radio, and just dealing with emails and sending people stuff and they don't get back. Like, that's frustrating. So I was in like kind of not a bad mood, but I was just kind of irritated when I went on the radio. And then within that, and you probably know exactly what it is, within 30 seconds, you just have to turn the switch on and just be like, all right, here we go.
Block that part out, worry about it later.
Yeah.
And
It's funny you say that, Jeff, because I was actually talking about this with somebody recently. I was like, I'd go on a radio for 3 hours. I drive all the way from Pittsburgh and drive back, and then we do the football games. And by the time I get home, I don't want to like talk anymore. Like, I'm all talked out. And it's like such a different like kind of tired. Like you said, I would much rather be physically tired, where I could just go home, lay down, and be good. But when you go home and you're like mentally tired, there's nothing you can really do other than
you don't want to go out. You don't, like, if you're physically tired, sometimes you'll go out and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to drink some beer tonight, or I'm going to, because you can still, I don't know what it is. There's just something in your brain that you're like a little bit more, I don't know if it's because your muscles are all tired and tingly, and you're like, that drinking a little bit merely makes you feel good. But man, sometimes it's really tough to want to be around humans, to want to watch TV, to want to go out, especially when you're mentally tired.
Because I know that when I'm socialed out and I'm done talking, and I don't want to be around people, I know that if I'm around people, the more chances I'm going to be looked at as I'm an asshole because I just
you'll seem miserable or tired or whatever.
It's not that I'm pissed that I'm there, or I just don't have it to be like
your social battery just drained.
Yeah,
you're just done.
The woohoo, like let's have a party, let's go. I just don't have it. But I mean, and sometimes you just have to remove yourself.
Put on a fake face.
Yeah, you just had to power through.
Just go do it,
just
man.
like the radio.
I think that with physical tiredness is the fact, like you guys just got done explaining, you can take a nap.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're mentally exhausted, when your brain does not allow you to shut down and your mind just keeps on going, there is no break from it. And there's a lot of times you can't control it too. So I do think, and here's the deal, I think both sides are miserable. If you're physically tired, you're mentally tired. And I know that probably both sides of the coin don't understand each other, but I definitely think there should be a mutual respect between quote unquote disciplines that just because we don't understand you or you don't understand us, there's still a tiredness side to that. I mean, without a doubt. But if you guys had, I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I was just going to say the one thing that's really frustrating if you're physically tired, I don't think there's a lot of mistakes that you can make if you're physically tired because, I mean, other than not being able to like lift heavy things or like move quick. But I was here I think it was Thursday, and I was getting ready for Friday, getting all the bags and stuff prepped. And I was just tired. It was towards the end of the day, like maybe 5 or 6. And I just had been in here and I just didn't want to, I was so over just being here because there's no windows. I don't talk to anybody, and I was just ready to leave. And I had to get the bags organized, and I kept fucking up. I kept putting things in the wrong bag. I kept I would zip a bag and I would forget something to put in the bag, and I just kept having to backtrack back and forth. And I think I was just so mentally done that I kept making mistakes, and then I was pissed, and Lola even came in and she was like, just, you got to get out of here.
Do you guys know when your time is done? Because for me, I do, and when it's time, it's time. It's operation shutdown, and it's you have to either go to sleep if you're even able to at the time, or you just got to check out of everything. Put your phone away and just find something that you can just relax with a little bit. But do you know when you're done, Jeff? Mentally, like totally toasted.
But also, I'm also a believer, because obviously we always complain about the sensitive people of the world and the soft people of the world. Like, I hate when it's always the same caliber of people that always talk about, I'm so tired, and this and that. And that does wear me out a little bit. I mean, it's obviously the people that where it's justified. You're willing to sit there and, swallow whatever they're trying to shove down your throat. But like that person that just always constantly talks about it, and they don't really got a lot going. Whatever the case might be. That's just kind of brutal to swallow too. But I think once again, there just needs to be a common respect factor for people. But the question I had for you guys is, if quote unquote you had to either choose a quote stereotypical blue collar job, what would be something that you would be attracted to you, that you think that you could technically do day in and day out?
Are you talking like labor, like a floor work, waitressing, like
I would probably go, because I don't want to downplay a waiter or waitress.
No, not at all.
Because here's the deal: they're on their feet, and their job, in my opinion, is probably physical and mental. They're trying to keep things going, and they're delivering a lot of stuff heavy. They're back and forth. But I guess if you were going to go the stereotypical blue collar job, a carpenter, a ditch digger, a mill worker,
like hard labor,
working a mine.
All these bastards out on Main Street.
Honestly,
back to waiter, and plus imagine the people you got to deal with. Imagine at the end of the day, and all you want to do is go home. And
that would depend on where I was doing it at. And that job would.
Oh God!
Because that's if you're in a high end restaurant or something, it's a little easier than dealing with people.
Yeah, well, if you're like in Denny's and a guy's pissed off because his pancakes.
Hey, speaking of that, so we're gonna go back. But how about your Jimmy John's getting a shout out today? We'll go back to that.
But actually, you know what, Matt? I'm glad. Oh God, I'm sorry.
It was for a good cause, but I looked at you. I knew it was for a good cause.
They donated all those cold things.
Yeah. Fuck them.
But let's go back to what you're saying.
It's funny you say that, Matt, though, because not to contradict you, because you are right. When you're dealing with a different caliber of person, it usually helps the cause.
Yeah.
But Luke's lady friend works at the Weird and Country Club.
Oh, no. Well, I see the other side. I know what you're going to kind of.
So at the end of the day, when you have the quote-unquote
snobby assholes.
Yeah. And you know what's we had a really nice conversation at dinner the other night, and she was talking about the people that come in that are truly just filthy rich. Usually they are really nice people. Like, as in, it's the people that are quote unquote the fake wannabe rich people
I would agree with that.
believe they're rich, that are not as rich as a Matt Watson, and they come in with that fake shit. They're the true dicks of the world, man.
No, I agree.
Like the in between.
That's been my encounters too.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I guess you're not wrong. Like, if you had to deal with the trash of the world every day in and day out, I think that would be brutal. But I think if you deal with those people that are just, think they're astute, for a lack of better terms.
Trying to think about this job, this blue collar job that I want to do.
Well, talking about being like a waiter at the brew fest, I was pouring the beers, and I listen, I was wrong, but I was pouring the beer while I was talking to someone, so it's kind of foamy. Like, it was probably 60% foam. Like, I fucked up for sure. So I wasn't paying attention. I handed him the beer, and he goes, "Dude, what the fuck?" And it's like a real older guy, like super old. He's like, "Are you fucking serious?" And I was like, I turned around, I was like, "Oh, like that's my bad." So I was like, "Oh, this must be what waiters feel like."
But first and foremost, can you imagine doing that to somebody?
No,
never.
It would be more like, "Hey, bud, I'm sorry. You know what? It looks like there's a little bit of fun."
Just please refill this, and I would have did it.
100%. But
He said,
that
"What the
approach,
fuck
man,
is
is
this?" I
so
said-
bad. That's
like,
just
"Oh."
so bad.
Yeah, but I think I do know, speaking of the country club, I know somebody that worked at a country club as like a side gig and would be a waitress for that. And they told me some stories about some people that were, she said it was great because you get good tips if you do a good job. But there are some people up there that are like, need things exactly the way they want, and if they're not that way, then it's hell on earth for them, which it's just, that's another
People are
tangent.
ridiculous.
But for blue collar,
It took me a while. I think I got mine now though.
What you
Go
guys
ahead.
got?
All right, so and this I don't know if it's still, this isn't the same exactly as a regular laborer, but I always thought it would be kind of cool to work on one of those major fishing rigs or work at a marina or something like that, where you're doing a massively hard job, like a massive hard labor. Have you ever watched any of those shows?
like Deadliest
Yes,
Catch?
what I was
yes,
gonna say.
exactly.
Oh, God.
Like Wicked Tuna, Deadliest Catch.
No, fuck.
I know something about that. I liked a little bit of danger.
Ugh.
I like it. I think that would keep me, adrenaline would keep me going.
God, but can you
Nah,
imagine like you get up and you didn't get a good night's sleep because the waves are tough.
I would be used to that lifestyle.
You go
though.
out and it's raining and it's
But
cold.
those are kind of elements that I don't mind. It's better than being in the sun, but I guess you got to deal with that sometimes too. But I always thought that would be one that I would kind of like.
It does seem super cool. Like, you do.
It would be incredibly hard, and I'd probably die. But I would give it my fucking very best. I can tell you that.
I'd like the camaraderie with everybody on
Yes,
that boat,
and I love the
everything would be
sea anyway.
incredible.
So if I'm gonna die, I want to die at
Boy,
sea.
yeah,
I don't want to get
that's
hit by a car.
Can-
I don't want to get hit by a train. I want to get thrown overboard.
Yeah, can you imagine the different kind of person you would be too? Like you would be like, you would not be. I don't think we would recognize that, like that universe as Matt to this Matt, because it'd be you would
it'd
be
a
like
totally
this,
different.
You'd be like a
battle-hardened.
grizzled like
Yeah.
sea captain with
Absolutely.
a big beard.
Yeah,
and
you'd be weathered to death. You'd have your hands.
You'd probably
would be ripped
have one
apart.
arm, like
yeah,
your
you'd be-
hand
I
got
might be a
ripped
peg
off.
leg.
Yeah,
I may have
I
scurvy or
You
dysentery.
just be a pirate.
You just smoke cigarettes like every off one off the other.
Chances
like,
are I'll be doing zins at the very least, Jeff. but-
Yeah.
Right. Hey, I'll share mine.
yeah, like wet, like your skin would be all like
It's just like
weathered.
if you
and-
can just imagine the movie The Perfect Storm.
Yes.
Like those
Uh-huh.
guys. That,
Oh, man,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
To me, if I was able to beat, and I'm not anywhere near as qualified to do that, but I would try.
That would be a cool one. That's a good.
Actually,
answer,
before everybody else answers, though, do you guys agree or disagree? I mean, I consider what I have as a desk job. You have a desk job. Can you imagine, like, when we don't get a good night's sleep or you don't get to sleep at all, going to a desk job? Granted, it's hard to stay awake or whatever, but can you imagine not getting any sleep at all? And you wake up and you're just truly tired. Then you got to go do physical labor for the next 8 hours. That would be fucking brutal, man.
That's tough.
I would say, do you think it would be? Do you think it'd be harder to? I think with that it would be harder to get into that. But I think once you start, like, and you
You're
get
right.
Yeah.
moving,
Blood starts
I
flowing,
think you're
sweat.
good.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Where I
That's a good
think
point.
is
That's a
when
really good
I
point.
think when you're in a desk job, it would be easier to get going, but it'd be harder to do that the whole day
it's a
because
good
you're
point.
just
I
like
have experience with that.
Yeah.
when I was
head
teaching. My
head
God.
going.
That'd be tough.
But-
you just sitting there like, and I didn't have much going on. It's like to stay awake for 8 hours when there's nothing stimulating your brain at all. Like, you gotta. and you have to be locked. It was so hard.
Matt, imagine just being like, you're up all night, like you just couldn't sleep. It was like hot or something. And then you had to get up at like the crack it on 5:30, 6 a.m. and you got to go untie the boat from the dock and get all the crab pots ready.
Smell some dead rotting fish and some seagulls out early.
Your buddy just got his leg ripped off.
Yeah. That wouldn't be good.
It takes some getting used to, for sure.
I'd say I'd say some sort of maybe like lumber, like in lumber yards or
lumberjack?
something like that, like cutting trees down and
You'd be
stuff
good
like
at
that.
Yeah, he
like
would.
with a big chainsaw. I think I would like to do that, but that's dangerous shit too.
Oh, yeah.
It's dangerous
I mean,
shit.
we know personally. I mean, somebody that worked and did that stuff who watched a guy just get crushed by a tree, and then that was it, and then it's done. But probably something around there. I wouldn't want to. Coal mining is the furthest thing I would do.
Coal mining ain't gonna work for a guy's our size.
No,
that's I don't know. Like where our friend Phil, who's as tall as I am, and he's one that got trapped down in that mine, and he's okay, thank God. But like I was thinking, like from when he went down there, it's like, man, mines aren't made for guys that size. I mean, it's just I feel like I'll be on my back. I'd look like I'll be hunched over.
Oh,
sure.
I know one. I just thought of something.
You got a better one?
It's not exactly
I'm
hard.
gonna be a cowboy.
I don't know if it's hard labor. If it would be like you need to be a higher position for this, but I want to be the guy at like a dump that is the big crane operator that scoops the
like
garbage
Fred
up
Flintstone,
and then burns it. I want to be
Flintstone.
that guy. I think that would be a good job. I've watched videos of that. They like on like X or Instagram, there'll be like workers that do that, and they set their phone up and they do a live stream of them just scooping trash up and dump it in the burner, or like from ship to dockyard. It's awesome. I think I'd want to do that. That'd be cool. Operating big machinery.
Right?
That's fair.
That'd be
Good
cool.
stuff.
That'd be cool.
That's a go. I would probably pick that if I had to pick, but for what I'm thinking about, I would probably just do something that involves housework. Something where I'm not going to get
Demolition,
demolished or killed or something nice and easy. With
like a maid,
no, just like carpet.
You look cute, like a little skirt.
Yeah,
Maids.
a little blackout.
I'd be in high demand.
Yeah.
But something, the worst that would come from it is just back pain.
What about you, Jeff?
I think I would probably choose like the carpenter route, because I think it would be kind of nice that you double-edged sword. You'd be able to go make a living, but then you'd also be able to do a lot of things around the house where you'd be able to save yourself a lot of money. But I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth, because coming from the medical side and the wife doing what she does, be careful what you wish for, because, anytime where my wife goes anywhere, she always gets hit with medical questions. She gets family all the time. But I think if you're a carpenter, you do that job for a living, and then you're going to be the guy that everybody calls when shit needs done and stuff like that. So
we just
like, hey, buddy, I got this bad corner in my house. What you got? Or could you come over and help me out here? I got a bad seam in my cabinet.
I feel like those jobs get a lot of friends that try to ask them to do it for free too.
And that would, you're not wrong.
That'd be taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
Or everybody that thinks it's okay that I'll just get you a pizza and a case of beer while you spend 6 years
put
in
all
my
this
house.
time. Which one of those blue collar job would you guys absolutely not do under any circumstance, no matter how much they paid you?
Probably coal mining would be, because I would. There's something about being that deep in the earth and knowing that if something goes wrong, I'm
Would you
finished.
be claustrophobic? Any of you guys?
Oh God,
Absolutely.
Really?
I don't think I'd be horrifically claustrophobic. I think I would just be a constant fear that I'm either going to get crushed or I'm going to get some sort of lung disease or something.
I agree.
Working on one of those giant. Now, I'm not really scared of heights at all.
Oh shit!
But I think working on. I wish I could do that. Mentally working on a high bridge or building like the steel, girders of these giant buildings, like the Empire State Building or something. To me, that would be hard to do, and it would be more not because I'm afraid myself, but there's so many different things that could go wrong up there.
Yeah.
And I have to trust other people at a massively high altitude.
Like those pictures of the guys eating lunch on the steel
unbelievable,
beams.
sitting on a beam. How about those people that are doing it? Those photos up on these dangerous things. Those kids fell and died. Like it's terrifying.
What
like,
about a window cleaner?
Like those people out here, that scaffolding it was there for literally 2 years, and they were on it one day. And I wouldn't have that big of a problem with that one, because I'm pretty good once I'm getting on, if I felt safe about what I was on.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty good. I'm not really, heights don't really bother me so long as the platform I'm on is considered safe. So no, I could do that because I could tunnel vision and get
Just
through it.
face forward.
I wouldn't want to be looking down. I tell you that. I mean, even though I'm not really that bad with heights, it's still not a fun feeling to be looking down at like that. You're just like, I'm one literal mistake, one belt loop caught, one anything, shoelace, whatever. You're done. So those would be ones that I would stay away
Jeff,
from.
what about you?
I'm not a claustrophobic kind of cat either. I'm really not a fear of heights, but I'll be honest with you, both of those scenarios would probably wig me out a little bit.
Yeah.
I still would like to see, it would be really cool, and it's cool, not cool. I think it'd be like if they had like tours in the mine where you could at least just feel like, because some of those cats, they tell you, I mean, they have the elevator that goes down and it takes at least 20 to 30 minutes. And then you got a train ride another 30 minutes till you actually get to your spot to
and
work.
those things can break down.
And those things can break down. And the thing about it, if you've ever seen them, I mean, they're not going like 2 miles an hour. I mean, they're kind of fucking flying down there and stuff like that. So I think those probably two would be on there. I think your ocean example, I love the ocean. I love the water, but I think living that life day in and day out would be absolutely brutal. So there'd probably be more things that I wouldn't want to do than I would want to do, if that's fair to say.
How about stop sign slow guy?
That'd be up in the things I wouldn't want to do.
I wouldn't either. That would be just so miserable.
Thoughtless.
It'd be
It's Tyler, like you said, it kind of be like all due respect what you were doing. I mean, I know
that monkey suit guy could do that.
Yeah.
A real monkey could do that.
Yeah.
but a lot of times, people talk about, man, I just want an easy job, blah, 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 this and that. And there is some niceness to that. But man, to have a thoughtless day for 8 hours, day in and day out, man.
It's unbelievable how much it wears on you.
Yeah. I mean, and you start to have, I would imagine, like you start to get into a fucking funk because you're not using your brain at all.
It was insane. Like I would go home and like I didn't do anything all day, but my brain was just like fried.
Yeah.
I would have to I just sat there and thought to myself for 8 straight hours, and that was it.
What about like these guys, like you're talking about these skyscraper guys and stuff like that? Do you think they can actually live a normal life? Like say, I mean, I don't drink during the week just because it's not worth it anymore. I'll go get ridiculous on a Saturday, but like, can you imagine those guys? Like, there's no way they can go booze it up the night before and then have to like.
They can't go in there with like a little bit of a hangover,
little
or headache.
jitters going on.
No, and you're got a little withdrawal going, or you got the sweats real bad.
I mean, that would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, anybody that goes up on those usually have to take breathalyzers and piss tests regularly.
What about the guy that changes the light bulbs on like a radio tower, like all the way up to the very tippy top?
Actually, it's so funny you say this because I just seen something like this the other day. Those guys only work like a couple days a year because there's obviously it doesn't need change, but they make dumb fucking money for doing that.
Yeah, there's a video there's like a famous video of a guy climbing to the top, and it's just a whole climb. I think it's like 45 minutes, maybe an hour long video of him just climbing all the way to the top. He hooks himself in, he changes the light, and then he climbs all the way back down.
How about the people that work for Lamar and go up on the billboards?
Billboard. Oh, wait, there was a guy recently, I think, that was working on a billboard, and he fell and he like broke his back in town, I think, recently for not Lamar.
I don't know. So why not? Those jobs don't always have cables or like something to keep them up.
I would imagine they have to be tethered. Most of it. I mean, I'm assuming there'd be violations of some kind if they didn't. But some people probably don't follow the rules. Yeah. You know how that goes.
Back in the day,
done quick.
You see those guys like you guys talked about with the iron platforms, 1,000. None of those guys were tied in and stuff.
The old bridge workers
school back in the day, man.
Nope.
I mean, let's be honest. I know we want to talk about men being men and all that type of stuff. Here's the deal: those guys fucking blow us away.
That's a different league.
That's a different. Those were true men.
Yeah,
those were true men.
How many fatalities do you think were on those work sites that nobody really ever?
I bet a lot.
Look, I watched a thing recently on the Golden Gate Bridge and how like people started dying and making that, and the guy who was in charge of the project was like so pissed off. Like he ended up basically leading the charge for new regulations and more safety and stuff because he was broken up by how many people died on it. And I mean, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, people died on that. I mean, it's just you're right, Jeff. I mean, those people went to work and with no fear.
Zero fear.
How, and they didn't even think twice about that.
I looked up the top 12 scary / creepy / downright disturbing jobs. Number 12. Police diver. So like
that's tough.
Police like divers that will go and try to search for like car wrecks in the ocean or in the
bodies
in the river or something like that. Number 11 called a steeplejack, which is basically people that go up on church spires, cathedral domes, chimneys, towering skyscrapers that all are engineers of like high steeples in industry. 10, high-rise window washer. So there's our window washer.
I do like the people, not to interrupt you, like when they dress up in like Spider-Man and stuff like that. And they go,
Do a stunt?
No, just for like when they go to kids' hospitals and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Oh,
yeah.
And kids get so
Spider-Man's
excited.
cleaning our windows.
Super
Yeah.
cool, man. Good shit.
This is apparently in this website they make $28,000 salary for window washing.
That's it.
I guess.
Don't they have the new window wash technology where you can wash them from the outside?
Yeah, like a
The inside magnet.
Yeah.
And that's taken off.
Number 9, coal miner, or just miner in general, which I can understand. Number 8, rodeo clown, which I would never get.
Not
in
a
the ring with
shot.
before.
That would be a tough one. I
Number
think
7,
Nick would be a good rodeo clown, don't you?
You know what?
He's agile. He's got lots of
Say what,
energy.
he is agile.
He'd be
though.
good.
If he got
You get him
paid-
all painted up in that clown suit.
If
He'd
got-
have like a Kansas Jayhawk paint
no,
scheme.
he'd
going.
roll his ankle and then
Yeah,
he'd
he'd
get
be
Well,
pinned
I'm
by-
not saying he'd have a long career in it, but I think he would be good at it.
He like
said,
a
I
week
don't-
long,
I don't think he'd have a long career.
like 48
Yeah,
hours.
His knees might go, but give him from let's see,
That is
Cheyenne
so
to Helena. He could do a few
funny.
stops
He
on
can
the
come to
tour.
Ocean City and do the
Yeah,
do-
right, PBR.
God, that is funny as
7,
hell.
Alaskan crab fisherman. That's on there. 6 is a clinical trial subject, which
Ooh.
we
Ooh.
know
like
somebody or somebody I know is a he does those clinical
I feel
trials.
like somebody we do know does that. Who
Hold
would
on,
that
you
be?
talking?
Yeah.
They're the victim,
No.
or they actually run the trials?
No, they're the one that gets injected with like
Yeah, who was
medicines.
that?
Yeah, we know somebody.
Somebody we maybe interviewed for the show or something. I don't know.
thought it was a friend or
I don't-
somebody. I thought we talked. I think I was with you when we talked
I
to
don't
him.
know who it would be. I can't remember
they
that at
make
all. But I
money
do.
off
That does sound familiar to me because I think I was like gonna ask him like, did you
Yeah.
ever turn yellow or green?
They
or
make
like,
money based off of how much
Yeah,
they
I'm not
do.
signing up for that.
That's a
I
tricky
think I'd
one,
do that.
especially
Would you?
nowadays.
That's
Yeah.
like getting a COVID vaccine.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't
You're
want
not
that.
wrong.
I can tell you that.
This quote is said, it's scary in the sense that you're subjecting your body to things when you have no idea what they are. There's a guy that does them. This is called a field epidemiologist, which is a job that requires playing Russian roulette with your health. A field epidemiologist, an employee of an epidemiology ward, a field epidemiologist works in communities where the outbreak of a new disease has occurred in order to study the disease as it progresses in real time. So basically, hot zones where like a disease
Yeah, it's like
starts.
monkeypox
So like if
and
Ebola,
Ebola.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
would be
those
bad.
those would be terrifying. If you ever watch movies where it's like people from the CDC and then there's those like airtight
Yeah.
costumes,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, and then they get a hole in their
Yeah.
and they immediately die.
Bomb squad technician.
Oh, jeez.
See, now that one I feel like if I was really educated at it, that is to me wouldn't be like I get the danger, but you could be very good at that and probably more times than not come out on the right side. I would think.
Yeah, but the only thing is you only get one mistake.
Yeah, no,
once.
that's probably true, but I think I could enter that one with high confidence if I could keep my heart rate down.
Yeah, that's true too.
But if I was really good at it, I feel like I would keep my heart rate.
That's where the Zens come in.
yeah,
play.
yeah.
Bring you down.
Double
Yeah,
cheek, I look like a fucking chipmunk.
Imagine coming into that with a hangover.
Oh, God.
Shaky hand. Champ would be good at that.
Oh, Jesus.
He'd cut
Jesus.
every wire.
He'd have a 0% success rate. Cryonics technician. This is basically, I'm assuming, the practice of cryonics involves attempting to preserve people
Yeah, like
who are
cryo-freeze?
legally dead, for very low temperatures so that they can be revived in the future when medical advance is able to restore life.
That's like in the movies too. When you're on a space shuttle and you go into cryo freeze and you wake up like 36 years later and you're the same.
Yeah.
So this is basically cryonics technicians typically preserve just the head of a patient since the goal is to protect the brain for eventual resuscitation. So there you go. You can do that.
Well, I'd try that. That doesn't seem harmful to me.
CTS decon technician, which are people that decontaminate crime scenes, like
That one would
horrific
be
crime scene.
Gross and filthy to me, and I would have a hard time with that one, just from just the sanitary sake.
It
Well,
says-
I was gonna add one. What about a coroner? Could you guys like?
I couldn't do that. Couldn't do it.
It'd be a little.
Am I seeing like horrible
You were
shit?
seeing
I do the worst of the worst.
of the worst.
I mean,
Whether
whatever
it be
murder,
crime scenes
yeah,
or car accidents to
people in pieces, picking up people's organs and putting them in bucket. I mean,
If you're-
you need, I think you need a special mindset for that.
hands
Like
down.
that is not a
kind of a
job
dark,
for
dark
everybody.
mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of a dark.
Yeah,
And not being able to get nauseous, like that would make me nauseous. And I have a pretty strong stomach, but I don't do very well with the body parts spewed all over the. Now, if I want to see somebody get machine gunned down in the road in a movie at a drug deal, but that's no problem.
I think I would. I've never seen like. I mean, I've seen obviously person that's not alive, but I've never seen obviously like a horrific accident or anything. So I don't know how I would react, but I feel like I would be okay.
You can handle. You think you could? That's cool.
I think so. I don't know. I don't
so
really
you can pick up someone's leg and just be fine.
I don't think I really get grossed out by that kind of stuff. I get grossed out with like spit more than I do.
Really?
Spit.
So you have the stomach. That's good. I mean, I don't.
I don't think like I've never seen a cut or a wound or anything that have been like I can't. I got to look away. Like blood doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but I
think
that's a little different than seeing someone's entire leg just split off.
Well, I mean, like the Kevin. You remember Kevin Ware when he broke his leg?
Yeah, but it's a video. Seeing it in person.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like even my dad, if my dad would never watch that video ever again in his life. Like he'll never watch
like
that.
that.
But I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either. I just don't think I could scoop up somebody's brain.
What have you guys ever
Probably
been
not.
past? This is an awful subject, but have you ever been past like a scene, an accident scene where you go by and you see somebody covered in a sheet?
No.
Me and Chris did experience that one time, and it was a little bit
like unnerving.
sobering. Yeah, it was like literally from us to the door where you produce the show.
It's like on a
There's
highway?
a dead body. Yeah, on the way to a Penguin game. There was like this massive accident, and 2 kids died in their bodies. You saw the coroner van coming up through all the traffic, and by the time we got past the scene, there was one of the bodies was covered up with a sheet.
Jesus.
That's could have been you.
I've seen more than I care to admit.
I'm sure you have.
Like
you 100%.
Like the stench of death, you probably have.
I was in the ER. I was in the ICU. I mean, one of the most vivid memories I have working, we got called down the ER. Guy was on a motorcycle. Literally, his lungs were hanging out of his chest.
Was he alive?
Dead on arrival, but he was still full resuscitate. So we tried to bring him, but obviously,
But like,
I've done CPR.
Tough to get him breathing when they're on the outside.
I've done CPR on more people than I would like to admit.
Really?
I just did CPR on somebody probably like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you? I thought you were a sales.
Yeah, I thought you were.
No, but he used to be in the trauma.
But now, even what I'm doing now, like I mean, this is not because this is going to sound like a fucking blowhard statement. But I'll be honest with you, when you do CPR on somebody and you bring them back to life,
You feel like a superhero.
That's a high.
Well, I'm there. I don't know if there's anything better.
I'm sure there couldn't
Did
be
they?
much.
Have you? Obviously, you've done that.
100%.
This past one,
Like 3-4 months ago.
What was your
you
job?
brought somebody back.
Yeah, 100%.
You brought somebody back.
Swear to God.
So Jeff Doyle saved a person's life 3 months ago.
There was a team,
but you led the CPR.
100%.
Wait, why? What?
Where have you guys been? I
Oh
don't
no!
you
Wait,
just
yeah.
sailed.
Hold on. Time out. Let's rewind.
I don't want to make this about Jeff.
No.
Doyle.
But I want to know because like him.
You're
I
intrigued.
thought you were just like in
Like a soup. I thought you were just like soup.
like
Where you
above, like a higher level of soup.
No. So, well, okay. So
I know we probably shouldn't get into the weeds here.
No,
but-
because I hate because this is dumb.
No,
but,
it isn't.
So the moral of the story, I worked as a respiratory therapist in the hospital.
I knew that.
So and
I knew
predominantly
that.
worked in like the ICU and stuff like that. So the shit that I seen there, I mean, I'll be honest, it's phenomenal. It's some of the best years of my life. As crazy as that sounds, I was young and that high and working in that hustle and bustle. And you do a 12-hour shift and you get done with 12 hours and you have no fucking clue what you just did for the last 12 hours because it was so crazy.
Speaking of that, real quick, I don't want to interrupt because I want to know more about this. But when I had my hive thing, the first time before I went in the ambulance, the first time they brought me in and I sat in like one of the rooms where there's all the chairs and then like little curtains they keep y'all separated. And I came out of there and I told my dad, I was like, I don't want anything to do with the medical field. I have no interest in being in the medical field. But there was something really, really cool about how everybody operated. Like there was like you could tell there was a tight community of the group that was in whatever circle that was working where I was, and they worked so well together, and they were having a fun, like talking well with each other, kind of like how we would if we were in a situation like that. Obviously they know more than I do and like us, but that environment, I told my dad, is something I would really like to be in. Not necessarily, I don't want to go, for instance,
the team aspect.
Yeah.
Trying to work to a common goal to save people, help people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A girl that we know, I won't mention her name just in case she doesn't want me to tell this, but she came in and I was sitting in a chair just like, I look like a little homeless kid, like just sitting there
with
all
a whole bunch of hives.
Yeah, all disheveled and like drinking a water. And she comes and brings drinks. I drink a water and she goes, okay, I'm going to go stitch a guy's hand up. He got bit by a dog. She went, stitched him up, came back like nothing happened. And to me, I thought that was really cool. Like, you just went and did that. Now you're good and you're coming out and you got to go do 10 more things. I thought that was really neat.
And it is. And there is a community. And actually, I'll take it one step further. There's a reason why the hospital and any kind of clinical setting becomes a whorehouse.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about
and
that.
the reason why is because you talk about, when you work in a clinical setting, you spend sometimes more time with those people than you do your own family.
Now, when you say whorehouse,
hookups.
They're known for cheating.
I mean, 100%. Here's
People
the reason.
getting
not
together.
in the hospital, but
Well, maybe.
100%.
really?
100%. Without a
man.
doubt. But
It's not just in the movies.
But that's
Joe.
not the point of the conversation. The reason for the conversation is because you think about every emotion that you have as a human being.
Yeah.
You're having fun like you got to see, but then you got to see if you're a team of people and you're working on somebody and you're working so hard on somebody and God forbid the end result, you lose them, then you get to see other people's other side of that too. If you're in healthcare for the right reason and you do have a heart and you get to see that emotion of people. So the I guess the ebbs and flows of emotions in a clinical setting is so that.
And you're probably leaning on people.
Have to.
Like, and this is also a good point, is like, if you're married to, say you're in what you're doing, and Cheryl's in the same field, in the same ballpark, but if you're doing what you do and you see a guy's lungs hanging out, and then your wife or somebody is like she works a desk job at, like, I don't know, a law firm, to be able to come home and have a connection where you're talking about your scenario is probably hard. Whereas, like, if you can talk to a coworker about what just happened, it's probably a whole lot easier. So you probably build a tighter connection as far as work environment instead of with your significant other, because you can't. I mean, you probably can't expect your wife to understand.
There's a lot of compatibility with that,
see
without a doubt.
Like a guy's head fall off. Like, yeah,
no doubt about it.
But anyway, so you were in the ER in that realm.
That was when I was working the clinical. I haven't worked hospital since 2004, so it's been a minute.
Where did you go after that?
So I went into medical sales for 16 years.
Okay.
So that's where I was the soups of the world. I didn't do wound care sales, but I pushed dope for a while and that kind of stuff. So
which is just medication.
Yes. Yeah. The legalized.
The legalized.
Legalized.
Yeah,
and I did some other arenas too, where I did DME sales and stuff like that too. But like the buildings that I work in now, obviously we're dealing with the elderly and stuff like that, and people die there too. So at the end of the day, so somebody went out, and I'm not afraid. I mean, obviously I come from that background, so I was not afraid just to jump in and kind of handle business.
But like, so I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to wrap my head around. So you're there. What were you there for?
So
not to get into details.
No, make a long story short. I was administrator. I was blessed enough just to take a promotion, so I'm a little bit of a bigger role. But that's not. Thank you very much. That's not the reason. But the moral story is I work in a building. So when things go wrong, obviously you're in the thick of things. But if you don't have a lot of people in this role too don't have a quote unquote medical background.
Yeah.
They're more the business type, where I come from a medical background and learn the business aspect of it.
Because
that's beneficial for
Soup is just on the business side.
He's trying to push it. He's
But
trying to sell it.
I can't see Soup being able to resuscitate.
Yeah, so
somebody.
but
not that he
like,
wouldn't want to try, but I don't know if he's got the makeup for
when
it.
that happened,
Maybe
and a
he
person like what do they call that? Hard lines, or what do they call that?
Flat line?
Flat lines. When that happens, like, you just rushed in there and
100%.
just did it. But like, if say Soup is in that situation, or
He's getting out of the
say
way.
I go in and I'm
That's
trying
what
to
I'd be
sell a
doing.
sponsorship to WV Medicine or whatever, and a guy flatlines, can I run in and start doing CPR, or do I have to pass through
Isn't
something?
there a law about
There
this?
is a law.
Yeah.
There's the Good Samaritan law, where quote unquote you can't, if you're doing something in good faith, and even if you're not CPR certified or whatever the case might be, there is the Good Samaritan law that quote unquote protects you. I think there's a lot of grayness to that law that will protect you. That God forbid that if you fuck up somebody while doing that, you were in good faith trying to save somebody as well. But I think that if they're able to prove that you had hidden agendas and you maybe weren't doing it in good faith, then maybe that can be spun in a bad way on you.
So, but like when you went in and which we have a life saver in
I don't
here.
know. That's so
we have a
dumb.
superhero.
We do.
That's so not fun.
Yes, it is true.
Because you guys would all do it too.
But you did it, though.
You guys would all do it.
I know, but you did it, though.
I
which
know.
is,
But
like,
you know what, though? It's different.
Superman.
No, it's not true. Quit that
yes,
shit.
it is.
But at the end of the day, when you're quote unquote, like you just got done saying about being trained to go to release a bomb. When you're trained to do something, I mean, God forbid that happens over the Pine Room. I can promise you, I'm going to be the first motherfucker jumping in, and like none of that. I guess the fear factor. I have no fear factor with it because I've done it and I
can handle the pressure
been
of it
around it and stuff like that. So
you were just right place, right time.
No, it was the fact of matter. One of our residents went out, and the fact of matter, they call what they call overhead to make sure that the team acknowledges what's going on. And at the end of the day, there's way more people that really should have been, because I've been out of that game for a hot minute. But at the end of the day, it just felt right.
You just were there.
It just felt right.
Did you go through the steps? You call 911.
100%. Like, I mean, this is so fucking dumb because I hate talking about this shit. But you do. You just it's something internally kicks in, and you start giving directives, and you just fucking take over.
Did you when you went in to like take over? Did anybody ask you like who are you or what?
No, because I was the administrator of the building,
so everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, knows who I am. But at the end of the day, it's probably if you don't come from that background, probably most people probably wouldn't do that.
Are you going to question if Superman comes into your room?
No, but I'm just saying, I know you don't like talking about this. I know you don't, but I think for people that don't know what you do, I think this is
awesome.
Well, I think just the end of the day, the moral of the story is we were talking about there's just a high to that. Like, and here's the deal. There's some sombering times too, that when you work on somebody and they don't last, I mean, they don't make it. I mean, probably one of the worst moments I've ever had in my whole entire life was we worked on an 18-year-old kid who had leukemia, ended up throwing a clot. His parents sat at the bedside while we pumped on this kid's chest. So, I mean, there's a lot of, once again, the ebbs and flow of medical. Like,
you don't always win,
so
right?
You don't always win. So you have the success factors that brings you back and makes you realize why you got into this game. But then there's also the times that, man, oh man, you just you as a team try to do your best to save a life, and then you have the parents there, not that they're blaming you, but man, oh man, there's a letdown fucking factor that you weren't able to make it happen too.
Do you think you have to be a different caliber of human being to be able to, because anybody could it's like being an athlete. It's like how do you perform if you fail? Like, if you're not able to handle a failure in the medical field, then you're not cut out to be in that
You're not
field.
cut out for that. And once again, it goes back to the heart aspect of it. At the end of the day, if it doesn't bother you that you try to do something and it didn't work, even though you knew that the end all be all, maybe there was the uncontrollables were the uncontrollables, but not that death ever gets easy. But let me sum this up. If you're working on 100-year-old and they, God forbid, pass, they lived a really good life.
Yeah, correct.
You work on an 18-year-old and they don't live, they still had 80 more years, quote unquote, in the rules of life. 70 supposedly should be. So there is. I mean, it goes back to the whorehouse thing. That's where you're seeing every emotion. You get to see people at their best time. You get to see people at their worst time. I know, and I'm not, because obviously I come from that aspect. The respect factor, the lack of respect that we have for firemen, medical community, policemen, people that are service people that are out there on a daily basis that are quote unquote trying to do good by people. The lack of respect for those communities today, in my opinion, is fucked up. You talked about, like, from a standpoint, old Kevin Heller, big man Kevin Heller. When I tell you, one of the best men I've ever met in my whole entire life. He was a fireman for 20 years, but also worked at the hospital part-time as a respiratory therapist. I was blessed to have him as a colleague, number one. Obviously grew up with his kids, that type of stuff. He would always talk about, everybody would always want to talk about being a fireman and fucking, puff out, and I'm a fireman. But as soon as shit hit the fan, those would be the first motherfuckers that wouldn't want to run into the burning building.
It's like a scent of a woman. Some guys run, some guys stay.
And it's true. So, but it's just, it's the intuition of, you ask, why would I do that? At the end of the day, something internal kicks in, and that's the reason why you go to school. That's the reason why you do clinicals. That's the reason why you're prepared for those moments that internally, because really at the end of the day, I shouldn't be the guy doing that now.
Well,
there's many people that are truly doing the day-to-day clinical operations now, that those are the people, but
whoever you did it to, they ought to be glad that you did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the deal. It doesn't mean, I mean, somebody else could have been doing it and made it happen too.
Somebody else could have fucked it up.
Somebody else could. But remember, I'm not pushing drugs.
I know.
I'm not pushing any of that shit. It's just, like I said, it is what it is. But it is. There's a reward to that. You ever save anybody's life, there is definitely a high to that, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's got to be the highest of highs.
Man.
So,
I never knew that about you, Jeff. That's
See?
awesome.
Wow. And I think I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because I know you hate talking about yourself and talking about this stuff, but I think genuinely people are going to be interested in hearing that. I mean, because we sit here and talk about
he's
shit.
such a fucking blow.
No, I promise you that. I promise you not. Hannah might cry listening to this right now.
I
But,
almost cried. That was great.
It is
You're a hero, Jeff.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
Yes,
It is
you
what
are.
It is.
You
It
are.
is what it is.
But that's cool, and I think that.
So my question to you guys is, you're telling me you wouldn't do that?
No,
Oh, 100% would.
Yeah,
I would sure give an absolute
you see
effort.
somebody struggling or whatever the case might be, the humanity kicks in. You may not know exactly the semantics of what you're supposed to do, but at the end of the day, I would imagine, I know from knowing you guys as long as I have, the three of you are going to give it a fighter's chance on trying to give somebody their best option, right?
I feel like I operate very well under pressure in certain, obviously nothing like that, but I feel like I could do it from that aspect, but I would obviously be at a disadvantage by not knowing all the procedures and the correct way to do it, but I would sure give it a hell of an effort. That's for sure.
So, like, even
I wouldn't shy away from it. I wouldn't be somebody who cowers and be like, I'm not trying that.
You're at the Outback tonight and somebody's
choking.
Yeah, somebody's choking. I mean, at the end of the day, if everybody else is sitting around and watching, I'd know that the three of you would hands down step up and try whatever you thought you could to fucking try to make that steak.
Some people freeze in those moments, I'm sure.
It's true.
And I'm sure you weed those people out in the medical field.
Have to.
And it's not that they're not smart. It's just they can't handle the environment, which I'm sure happens.
And actually, one more thing that we dealt with was there was a surgeon, and very not the typical. Most of the time, surgeons have that fucking God complex, and they fucking think they're the second coming of Jesus. And here's the deal: they're the real deal, Holyfield, but they still put their pants on in the morning, just like we do.
Yeah.
But there was one that's retired now, and when I just tell you, if he walked in here right now, you would have no fucking clue that he was a surgeon. He was just like us. As a matter of fact, he would never dress the part. If you seen him drive what he drives, you would never know that he was a surgeon. He lost just doing a general surgery one day, and unfortunately, the patient was fine out of surgery, ended up throwing a clot. He literally fucking melted on the outside of the wall and crumbled to the wall because he was just so devastated. Because at the end of the day, surgery went well. Post-surgery went well. Nothing that he could have controlled whatsoever, and lost a patient. So, I mean, it's just that, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So,
well, those people are they're on a different level than I think I'll ever be. But
shout out to the brave ones. Yeah. And speaking of that, 9/11 coming up tomorrow. Talk about brave people under incredible pressure and how many lives. Actually, everybody talks about the amount that were lost. We talked about on the radio today, but there was a lot of people saved because of people in your profession and the firemen and the policemen that you just spoke about. A lot of those people were going into that building not knowing they weren't properly trained. So obviously the firemen were and stuff, and the police a little bit knew how to handle things, but a lot of people went in there just brave on their own and saved some people.
I like to think I'm a guy that if things happen, I like to rush into not really care. I'm a throw caution to the wind if something happens. I think in our friend group, I feel like I'm that of mindset. But in that grand of a circumstance where 100 floors up, there's fire and ash and devastation, and I know for probably a certain fact that if I go in this building, there's probably a 90% chance I'm not coming out of this building.
Right.
That I don't know that I would probably, I don't know if I could do that.
Do you ever get there well, I guess we've never experienced it. Jeff, maybe to some degree, but when the adrenaline goes, that you almost do feel a level of invincibility in a way. Yeah. It was where you're just not worrying about that. You're just going off your high. You're going to save some money. You're going to do whatever you can do to make a difference. But yeah, I mean, I would like to think I would be going in there too. But until we actually faced with it,
hopefully we never
hard to no, right? Hopefully nobody ever has experienced that. But that goes back to that day, and that makes sense now, Matt, because I was trying to do a little research and just for today, in case if I had to be the lead or whatever. But they're talking about now, there's always been where some of these people have been covered because of the toxins that they had to deal with and what they inhaled and stuff like that. Yes. So there was a big article today that popped up again, and it's really embarrassing that I'm even admitting I didn't realize tomorrow was 9/11.
Dessert is an essential part to a quality life, and quality desserts make life all the more better. Had a long day at work and you need something sweet? Maybe you're out late and you need the perfect snack to cap off your evening. Or you're just a dessert lover with a knack for the finest of sweet treats. Well, say hello to the Brownie House, home of the best brownies ever. A family bakery dedicated to baking the world's best gourmet brownies, baked with premium imported chocolate, high-quality ingredients, and no preservatives. No prepackaged, pre-made, fake-tasting chocolate, no. These brownies are made from scratch, shipped nationwide, and delivered right to your door. And starting right now, you can head to yesbrownies.com and use the code PINEROOM, all caps, during checkout to receive 20% off your order. For the best brownies and more, take a trip to the Brownie House.
To be very honest with you, so it makes sense on why that article popped up the other day about that.
About how many people died after the fact with that were there,
still cancer
breathing in.
causing agents and all that
absolutely.
stuff. Yeah.
So many people.
And actually, I think part of it too is I think the money is running out.
It is. It
kinda
is. People have already forgotten about
Which
it.
is
It's sad.
so fucked up.
It's sad.
So
And look at
dumb.
it. Oh, look at it now.
What is it, 23 years, 24? 23 years.
23.
Because 2001,
Yeah.
23 years. Good Lord.
That was a wild day, fellas. I'm not gonna lie. That was a really, really wild day.
Where were you doing at that point?
I was
Jeff?
at the hospital.
Okay.
And I tell you
All right.
what,
So that makes you even more heightened awareness. Like, oh my.
without a doubt. And actually, they went around because obviously, and this is crazy.
Blood. Remember how important blood was? Yeah.
And this is crazy. And nobody will believe this unless if you worked at the hospital at that time. They were going around and there was, I mean, obviously there was so much, nobody really knew what the hell was going on, number one. But number two, they were reaching out to every medical community across the country to try to get volunteers to go. And there was even rumorvilles that they were going to be, as crazy as this sounds, like bringing in Air Force One and stuff like that to pick up people to be able to take them out.
Helicoptering them out, yeah.
They were asking for people to sign up for it.
Here?
100%.
Yeah, all over.
All over.
Especially if like the mid-Atlantic and East coasts, because that's where
they just needed all hands on deck.
Did you experience that in the medical field? Did you experience people like leaving to
No,
go?
because they asked for volunteers, but it never got to small town Wheeling, West Virginia.
Right, it didn't trickle its way out to here yet.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
obviously that's horrible. But that's kind of cool that they would having people just fly out all
Fly
the way.
out
That's
there.
insane.
Yeah.
But the thing about it just kind of like what Matt's alluding to, you're technically going in the blind too, because you're not you're thinking about the acute situation on how you're going to go help people, but you're not thinking at all what this could do for me for the rest of my life if I get there and I'm taking care of people. And they said obviously it was smoldering for how long and the smoke was there for so long, and you're not thinking about that aspect of like I'm going in and technically taking the chance of breathing that stuff in, and those are the people who are also getting the cancers of the world and stuff like that too. So, but but you know what though, I will say this much, and we've talked about this a million times on this show, so it's redundancy, but that it takes those moments in America where it's very cool to be an American at that time. And it also shows on how our country, when shit does hit the fan, on how we do come together as a community. The problem is it's fucking short-lived.
We talked about it today on the radio.
Well,
Did you?
Yeah, just about the unity. Like you hate to have an event like that to unify. But like to me, that was the last time.
I agree.
I mean, that period after, and maybe a few years, but then it was that unity that we had as a nation. We actually did have some unity, and obviously by about 2008, that was all gone.
I'd say we got close during the Boston Marathon.
That was another that got it pretty close too. Yep.
Too, because I remember that was probably the biggest.
That would be the most similar event you guys would have
most similar, because I remember where I was during that. We were watching it in our living room, and it had just happened. But I'd say, but it's like why does it have to be horrific shit that brings everybody together? That's why I say to Matt, I know it sounds joking every time, but I swear to God, aliens
Invasions,
would be the most unifying thing
for the whole planet,
for the entire planet. Because then you're like right now. And I always think about this too. I think about how I wrote this in our blog. Go to pineroomstudios.com.
Nice little plug. I love that. Good job.
But the vastness of everything that's around us, how insignificant all the little trials and tribulations that are going on our little rock, when there's thousands and thousands and trillions of light years around us. That,
you mean things like Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, who should start a quarterback, aren't important? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, exactly. How many points I scored on my fantasy team this week? But
our lives are so minuscule.
You think about how that literally, I mean, it does for us here in our lives, but all that shit, all the conflict that is happening, like that we can't get along on, how little it really means in the grand scheme of everything. And you think about if there was us on our little rock, and we found out that we're not just us on our little rock, and there's the little rock across the pond, and they're doing their own thing, then it becomes us as a group. And I think I feel like not a lot of people can step back and say, you know what, we're all like, we might not have the same beliefs, or you might talk about something, but we're literally, if you put all that shit aside about whatever you might believe in, and we sit down and we go back in the backyard and play bocce, like that's the kind of shit that people don't understand, that you and me we're the same. We're human beings on a planet that we all came from the same place. We're all the same. We got 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs.
Most of them.
And, supposed to be.
The guy working on the ship maybe doesn't.
Yeah, Matt's alternate self. Yeah. But there's something about, I've always wanted there just to be a reason for everybody to say, you know what? I know we don't believe in the same thing, but we're humans. Can you imagine the shit we could do on this planet?
It'd be totally awesome.
This planet, we would have technology that would be... We'd probably have cures to stuff. We'd have technology that would be beyond belief if everybody... Imagine the greatest scientists from North Korea and the greatest scientists from China and Japan, and they all got together. And Russia. I mean, I wish it was a world like that, but obviously never
honestly,
will
Job,
be.
it's funny you say that, because
Soup's at the door.
Soup is here?
Yes, he said he lost his keys.
We unite more in outer space now at the International Space Station than we do on our own planet. It is quite incredible.
Well, I think the other part to that is the fact of matter, it's the lack of respect that we have for the common man. We all have trials and tribulations, right?
Right.
And just because you have your pocketbooks are through the fucking roof, they have their own set of problems as well, just as much as the guy on the corner saying, I'll do anything for food. Everybody's got their issues, but everybody doesn't have a sense of respect for each person with that kind of stuff. And I think that's probably part of our problem, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, just being able to understand the world isn't about you.
Yeah,
like you're such a meaningless part of it. Like, even though you mean something to other people in your life, you just don't matter in the grand scheme, and not enough people think like that.
No,
it's a big problem.
Well, that is a great bridge, because now that we went really heavy, deep, and real at one time, you talk about that aspect. So the whole, and I'm not here to bash on Deion Sanders, but I did read something the other day, and this is a crazy bridge, but it will piggyback off what you're talking about, Matthew, is the, so did you guys see where he did not allow Colorado band to play their fight song when they scored a touchdown? They wanted him to play his son's rap song.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Like, can you imagine being that fucking egotistical, that the fact of the matter that something, I don't know how long Colorado's been a university, but I would imagine it's been around for a hot minute.
Yeah, I would say that probably was founded it might have been in the late 1800s.
That's honestly, I mean,
it's possible.
Institutions
at least
been
the
around
early
for a hot minute. So the fact of the matter that they've been playing the fight song on a touchdown we changed pace real quick, but it was
what
a
are we talking
bridge,
about?
just on how he was talking about, on people, we were talking about how people just don't have respect for each other, and the fact of the matter that even people with a lot of money, they have their trials and tribulations, just like the guy on the corner, this and that. And he was talking, we were more like egotistical things, and that's why
1876.
There you go, where people can't come together, because he said, really, at the end of the day, we may mean something to our immediate group or our family, but in the big picture of life, I mean, really, we're just a fucking little peon in this whole thing. But how I bridged it was, so Deion is kibosh the band from playing their fight song when they score, and they're making them play his son's rap song. And I just said,
marching band, Joe.
Can you imagine being that egistical that song has been probably
played
since...
What's the song?
Some fucking idiot song.
Like, it's not a famous song?
I mean, I've never heard of it, but I'm
Shador
sure
Sanders.
But can you imagine? So it's 2024. Colorado's been an institution since
76.
And I don't know when they brought around a football program, but that means they've been playing that fight song for fucking that long.
Right, over 100 years.
This dickhead comes in and saying, "We're done. I want you to play my son's rap song." Can you imagine being that guy?
I don't know.
I can't believe the audacity. 1890 was the first football.
So there you go. It's been going, 134 years. I mean, that is just blows me away. I cannot imagine being that self-serving. We all have our selfish ways. Let's be honest. There's times in life where you have to be a little bit selfish, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
But to be that self-serving and to think that just because it's your son that you think that the whole Colorado organization and the whole Colorado fan base wants to hear your son's rap song, that's just so
That was the same thing I talked about a couple months ago, was when Kim and Kanye's son, Northwest took that position in that what was it, Lion King play?
It was in one of the Broadway musical plays.
They just got her to go and
she
do that.
was not qualified for it.
Horrible.
Did not do it very well.
And then tried to sell how good she was.
Yeah.
It just blows me away. I just could not imagine.
I just feel bad because I know, like, people disagree and have different points of view, and I always try to look back and just go, like, they're a human being too, and like they might. That's kind of a different situation because you're just being a dick, and like you're ruining things for other people.
Do you think he does that on purpose, kind of?
You know what? It's
like maybe he's really not like that, or like is this a showman?
It's like WWE.
It's like no news is bad news kind of thing, or no media is bad media, no press is bad press.
That's a great question, Matt.
I don't know.
It's a really good question. I don't know.
And I just like there's just people that I feel bad for, like it's in the political world, and I obviously don't pay attention to politics as much as I probably should, but like. People hate Trump. People hate Biden. People hate Kamala. And I get it. Like if people disagree with what but like,
but do you truly hate them?
But do you hate this person?
Right.
Like if you sat down with Sleepy Joe and you sat down and you played a game of fucking checkers with him and you drank had ice cream and sat there and talked about him, like, would you really hate this guy? Like I feel bad because. And I know maybe he's like a piece of shit behind the scenes. I don't know.
I bet you could find common ground with him. I bet you could. Maybe not him now, but
can you like? And I just
when he
feel
had a
bad.
brain
Like
work.
people, like I see like stickers on truck that just say like "fuck this guy" and like "fuck Joe Biden." Like, do you really think that like an old 90-year-old man like sitting on the beach right now, like that's what he should be doing? Is
Correct.
sitting on the beach. He shouldn't be in the position that he is.
Nope.
Right.
He should be sitting on the beach enjoying the rest of his life, whatever time he has left. Eating ice cream and riding his bike, and that's what he should be doing. And I feel bad, even though I don't agree with what happens with what he does or whatever. But I just look at the old guy and I think he's just an old guy. He's just an old man.
And actually, it's a really valid point, Job. If the trees were not skewed and you were sitting at the beach and by chance you looked over and you didn't even know he was Joe Biden, you didn't know it was our president, and you sparked up a conversation. He is a charismatic dude, probably hold a great conversation, set politics aside. You're sitting there talking about the birds flying. Like, I would agree with you. Like, he's probably not a dude that you'd want to fucking throw punch.
And I just don't. It makes me feel bad because I know, and I get it. I mean, they give you reasons to dislike them for what they say or whatever.
But do they actually do it, or does our media?
And that's
is
another
our
thing.
media the real problem?
Well, and another thing is too, it's like this guy might be in this position, but you don't think that there are 20, 30, 40 other people pulling strings behind the scenes and really doing it? I mean, this poor guy's up here. I mean, he can't even put a sentence together. And you're shitting on this guy, but really, is it his fault? I mean, really, he shouldn't be up there to begin with. But I mean, I try to see humanity in people.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Joe. Because I would say, and this sounds really bad, but if you sat in a room with some of the worst, most ruthless people of all time, chances are you could find common ground with them on something. Whether I sat down for a beer with Obama or Joseph Stalin or dare I say Cooley's boy. But
I think that might be.
But like even so, like
that's true.
It's the policies that make you so mad, and the what has driven the hate is our media.
Yeah.
Our media doesn't tell people the full story about these. It's hard for me to think that everyone hates Donald Trump as bad as they do. If they sat down with him and actually talked to him about things that concern them, I bet you that you would find some common ground. And no one wants to do that, though, especially on one side. You can figure out which one it is, the hateful side.
And does he say dumb shit sometimes? Yes, he does. It does. And again, I think some of that stuff he might do.
He could
for
the
attention, but also like I saw him hitting golf with who was he hitting golf with?
DeChambeau?
Yeah, DeChambeau. Like I would go play around a golf with him, and I bet you'd have a great time. Like just talk to him in the pub. Like you almost wish that this guy wasn't in the limelight just so you could see what he was like just out of everything.
People give great accounts about Trump throughout his life, about how good of a guy he was, and how many of these people that used to like him have now turned on him just because of the politics part of it. It's not fair, and we all do it. We all judge people unfairly, and it's a problem. You're exactly right, Joe.
And I wish that I honestly wish there was like a thing where, obviously you could never do this, but every person could sit and have just a one-on-one, not talk about politics.
You get 10 minutes.
Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Life. Just talk about what's going on.
They're all
today.
people too.
What's
they
the
all
weather?
got grandkids. They all got families. It's
like the whole cop thing back where everybody hated the like whatever had like things that have happened, things where you hate a cop or you hate back when I was in school. When I like teachers, before you realize that they're humans too, they're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got older and could realize that, I loved having conversations with teachers because you find out that these people are just people too, trying to they're on their first go around just like I am. And I think that's what people
need more of that. You're right.
I'll circle this back, Matt. Let me ask you this question. In the role that you're in managing people, when you tell somebody yes 99 times, you're the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread.
Right.
But as soon as you tell them no one time, Matt's the biggest dick. Can you believe he fucking told me that I was no, blah, blah. So no matter what, in any leadership role, and you know what you sign up for, right, Matt? I mean, the bottom line is it's being in a leadership role, there's a lot of times you're a great guy and there's a lot of times you're a dickheaded. You know what you're getting yourself into. But that's where people's perspective gets skewed. At the end of the day, it kind of like what you said too, Job. We all wanted to think that our teachers were pricks. Well, can you imagine dealing with fucking 30 of us in third grade?
And 90% of them are assholes.
Are just assholes, and they don't come from good backgrounds. And the fact of the matter, they don't even respect their parents. So how the fuck are they going to respect the teacher up in front of them? So we automatically just think they're dicks or they're hard on us. No, we people just got to realize they have a job to do, and they're trying to do it for the betterment of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But it just people cannot see
I think it's
that.
like it's not until you get into that position that you realize what that person was going through.
Well, I think it's some of that. Do you not agree? Is maturity?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, maturity is being able to sit back and go, okay, well, they were doing the best they could. Or I'll even take one step further, being a parent. There's no Bible. There's no fucking playbook on how to
works
be a parent.
every time, right?
And that's also frustrating too. It's like if you see like if you're out with baby Luke when he was a kid, and some other kid, like a young couple who doesn't have a kid yet judges you on how you parent Luke. It's not until they have a kid, and I can't even say this because I don't have a kid yet, but they're judging you on how you raise your kid. They haven't been in that position yet, so they have no idea what that would take to raise a kid and be in that situation where I guarantee a majority of people will end up doing exactly what they thought was the wrong way to do things. And I don't know.
Good point, Job.
I think
really good point.
A lot of people, and I am guilty of being short of temper and quick to jerk my knee every now and then, but I just feel like people sometimes just got to take a breath and find the humanity in people every now and then, just even no matter who they are. But and I think maybe if I think it'd be really cool too, instead of this presidential debate tonight, which is probably going to be a shit show.
It would be like
But
Tom Brady's roast session.
They should. I would love it if they said we're going to have They're going to like put them in a restaurant, make them eat dinner together, and they can't talk about politics. They just talk about their life, talk about what's happening in the world, talk about what they did, get to know each other, how they got to the positions where they are, talk about their history with each other, make them people. Make them people. Right now, you put them up on stage where they argue about whatever. They're not people. They're like...
I think one of the best questions that any moderator had or statements, however you want to look at it, for when Trump was running against Clinton was when they had them say something nice about the other person.
I think that was phenomenal.
But I think what has happened with politics too, and granted, I didn't get into politics till later in my life because at the end of the day, as being a young buck, you really just don't give a fuck.
Right. You don't think it matters to you.
It doesn't matter, this and that. But I don't remember even being a kid and even watching my parents do this and watching I don't think we had as many commercials on TV back in the day either. Why does it always have to be bashing of it shouldn't be even like when with this debate tonight, and I know, and here's the deal, full disclosure, I'm a Trump guy, but at the end of the day, Trump's going to go up on stage and motherfuck Kamala. It doesn't need to be that though. Let's tell us your platform. Tell us what you're going to do so I can make an educated decision on, okay, this is who I need to vote for because you know what? I feel like he's talking to me, or if Kamala is talking to me.
Yes.
But to go up there and just bash each other, and then it becomes a circus and a shit show, and as other countries are watching us and going, so these are your two fucktards you got fucking going on right now?
And it was the same thing in the mayoral race. We saw.
That's a good point too.
I mean, slandering of the letters that before we
got real ugly.
And I think we probably can take a guess who it was. But why do we have to do that? If you're a good speaker and you know what you're talking about, and you have strong beliefs in certain whatever policies you want, and you have a sound basis of who you are, there should be no need to shit on the other person. And I think that kind of stuff is so classless but I mean, I guess that's the way of the world now, is you gotta,
because there's so much money involved in this. All these people that seem to get into these, maybe not wheeling, but the people, they make a lot of money by getting elected here. So there's a lot of money at stake, and that part is ignored. Because that's what it is. It's a big business. Why do you think that all these old Republicans, it is disgusting to me. I know you guys don't want to talk about politics. Jeff may have an opinion on this. But, like, don't you find it disgusting that, like, Dick Cheney and some of these guys that were in Republican administrations are now saying they're voting for Kamala Harris? Like, that is troubling to me. And that makes me even more sure that I'm right, that this was always a big business. It was just a seesaw game. Okay, Bush for 8 years, then we give you Obama for 8 years. It's just a balance of power. They all get rich. They go out to dinner with each other. They go on the Senate floor. They yell at each other. They say obscenities, and then we're out shaking hands and laughing together because they're getting rich off of us.
Do you think like, and we can talk one day when we have time, we're gonna get into shit like this. But do you think there's a chance, an outside chance, that Trump and Kamala go up there, they MF each other the whole time, they hate each other, and after the fact, they call each other and they go, hey, we fucking go.
That was a good one, guys. That was a good one.
I would say that prior to Donald Trump coming. This is why so many people dislike that guy, because he's not playing by those rules. In the old days, 100%. They would say, like Nixon and Kennedy, first televised debate, they were going at each other hard, and then afterwards they said they went out and smoked a cigar or something. Like, it's... In the old times, absolutely. Up until the last election. But Trump has pissed off everyone on both sides now, which tells me that there was always the corruption there, that the sides shared power. They agreed on this stuff, and it was all show.
It's like big WWE. Like big.
But now he comes in as a new world order, taking over.
Yeah.
Well, the other problem that's really sad about what I'm about to say is people that try to run a clean campaign can't win.
No chance of winning.
They can't win, and that really sucks too. And I think we've seen a little bit of that at our local level.
Yeah.
We had somebody that, they quote unquote was trying to not be the derogatory and just try to run on their platform and this and that, and he didn't win. And I think it depends on how hard up, for lack of better terms, you are to get into that position, that it skews you and you want to start playing in the same playing field. And it's just so sad. I'm a big believer, and once again, rainbows and butterflies. We got to get rid of the both parties, which is never going to happen.
No question.
And the other thing is the fact of matter of, it would be nice if Jub Delbrook could run for, no, I mean this as in just the normal Joe that
would actually have an honest chance to win.
Honest chance 100%. To win, that doesn't understands truly what it feels like to need and want, right, and how they can be relatable to the 90% of the people that are quote unquote checking the box. We can't relate to Donald Trump. We can't fucking relate to Kamala Harris at the end of the day. And I know they try to do a good job of relating to lower level, mid level, high level, and all that type of stuff, but it's just not relatable. And I just think it would be so nice that whole platform, we just fucking cut it up, sweep it underneath the rug, and start over.
There's just so much money, it'll never happen until we put a stop to it, term limits, and get rid of these people, the lobbyists. And I feel like Trump reciprocates he can kind of find common ground with people better than Kamala. But as far as me, I can't really relate to him on anything other than some policy, because as far as lifestyle and like absolutely nothing in common with him. But I have nothing in common with her either.
That's where I have a problem with that. It's like, do I necessarily like either side? No, but I can't relate. I can't like Trump. I mean, how long has he been a billionaire? He's been on TV for
right.
I knew him when I was a kid. Like I knew he was in Home Alone. I knew he was like, but he's. And it's like we talk about it with Taylor Swift and with I think we were talking about like Coco Gauff or no, not maybe her.
Well, I mentioned her.
Like millions of like they're millionaires who like
that they're going to tell us
like he's never going to go
person
like they're never going to go and get a carton of milk from the store and like need to go get bread for peanut butter sandwiches like that's never going to happen. So it's hard for me to relate to like that when we have people that are millions and billionaires and thousands of dollars. But maybe one day we'll just have like a mailman. He'll be like just had an interest in politics and somehow there's a landslide and he won. I don't know.
It'd be pretty cool though. It really would be very cool at the end of the day because obviously I think there'd be more people that could relate to that than what's going on now. But once again, there's not a shot in hell of that ever happening.
Do you think also too if that guy did win, like he would be hated by a lot of people too?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd probably get killed.
Yeah.
You got it out before I could. He'd probably get killed, and that's
they don't want you to upset this. That's why you think they shot at Trump. I mean, honestly, very good chance both sides of the aisle were involved in that.
Do you think like Kennedy too? Do you think?
Yeah, we could talk about that. That there's no question. Or I would say I'm not sure exactly, but I'm 100% sure that our government
like
was involved in that.
That was not just a random attack.
Yeah.
Do you notice? Do you guys agree or disagree that it's a good thing to feel that you want or need something and can't get it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's almost like like you, for instance, you saying just like something like a buying something.
Just, like I guess just in general. I mean, I'm sure I want to be a brain surgeon, but I'm not smart enough to be a brain surgeon. But I guess what I'm saying is, I think to have things in life that you
like yearn for?
Yearn for that is either not attainable,
right,
or that you've fallen upon hard times, or that you have had those moments in life where you've truly lived paycheck to paycheck and you weren't sure that last day on fuck man, thank God tomorrow's payday because I truly don't have no money in my pocket kind of thing. Like I think that feeling, it's a horrible feeling, but it is a great feeling. Like when you're able to overcome that.
Yeah, no, I agree with
or
that.
the driving force to make you overcome that.
I know we're running long here, but I got a question because I think I might have asked this to maybe you before and you said no. So there was a question, I can't remember what it was brought up on. I think it was on another podcast or something I was listening to. And let's say that a guy comes in here and he's like got the newest technology and he gives you a pamphlet and he says, if you get in this pod, it's like a little sleep pod. You get in this pod, we're going to put you to sleep. You're not going to know that once you're asleep, you're not going to know you're asleep. But as soon as you're asleep, you have the perfect world you could possibly imagine. You have everything you want. Everybody you want to be around you is around you. Any dream you can attain, you can have it in your dream, and you have no recollection that it was a dream. So
it's like Avatar almost.
Yeah, so like you have no prior knowledge that you were put in this pod. All you know is that you were sitting here, and now all of a sudden you go outside and there's a Lamborghini in the dream.
And it's yours.
And it's yours. And you go home and you have a 6th floor mansion sitting across from 138, and you have the Pine Room every Saturday, and Notre Dame always wins.
That'd be really cool.
That sounds pretty good, huh?
That'd be really cool.
But would you accept that? Do you think you would sign the paper to get in that pod?
I'm so sorry. I'm really confused on what you just asked me.
So when you get in this sleep pod, they're going to put you to sleep for the rest of your life.
But I know this.
Basically,
you know it before you go in.
But you're going into an alternate reality, basically.
You know before you go in.
Okay.
But once you're in that pod, everything to you is your reality. Like you don't know you're in this pod. Like you go home right now, like Cheryl's got dinner ready, or whatever, however your normal life is. But anything you want and wanted, any dream you have, you achieve. Anything you want right now, you have. It's a perfect world where nothing goes wrong. You know, you live you never not get what you want. Like you always can. It's always at your fingertips.
No, because I think it goes back to what I just got. I think failing in life is hands down the best thing that could happen to somebody. And I don't mean like failing as in where it's so detrimental that you're never able to rebound, but to have a taste of failure. Like myself personally, I'm way more driven by the fear of failure than I am more the fear of success. I mean, I want to be successful, and at the end of the day, I hope one day to be successful. But I just think at the end of the day, I'm driven by that. So I wouldn't want. I think that keeps you even killed.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, I'm with him.
You
I
doing
think
sign it?
No, because part of life to me is challenges and just climbing the mountain, like trying and falling and not giving up, because it's not always going to be an easy day, and it's just not. And you guys are young guys, not seasoned veteran workforce people yet, and I mean, you'll understand there's going to be days where you're going to feel like, wow, like, I have it way better than a lot of people, but today really sucks. Like, I've had a terrible day, whether it's health related, whether it's financial things, whether something goes wrong in your personal life. I mean, it is not always easy, but it does make you enjoy the good times a lot better and the things that you do have. And you have to look back and reflect on that stuff. But no, I would not trade it. I know it seems like that would be the easy way out. I'm not ever taking the easy way out in life. That's just the kind of person that I am.
No, and I agree with that, Matt. And here's the deal. Would it be nice if you're telling me life is rainbows and butterflies? No, but would it be nice to have some easier moments? I would maybe choose.
I'm trying to sign up for that.
There's different tiers.
Let me catch a break like every 6 months. Give me one little break.
It's like in a video,
I'll be cool with that.
In video game, you can turn your luck up to 90%.
Something like that.
Or like go from expert level down to beginner for like a little bit. I'm going to play on beginner for just a couple weeks. And then I'll be okay. And then he can put me back to expert and I can suck
what's
it.
your guys' answer over there?
You said no.
I pretty much said the same exact thing you guys said. And to answer the specific question, if I go into the pod, then I'm leaving everything else behind.
No, but once you get in the pod, you don't know.
I don't know. But everybody that knows me, now I'm just out of their lives. So like for Jeff, for an example, if he were to go get in that pod, his real family doesn't have Jeff anymore.
But let's say like they're gonna give like once you go into the pod,
everybody's got.
What if your family unit went in?
That'd make it a little different. They put you in the pod and they
wipe
say
out this
no,
world?
but even that. What if they said your whole family gets to go in the pod? Obviously, you're not going to be with them physically, but in this dream world, you see.
But it's fake.
It's no
and none of it's real, and I don't like that.
I think.
I know.
I would have a really. Listen. I love challenges. I think that's what makes me.
I don't love challenges either.
I was gonna say that's what makes me good. I'm not good at much, but I think time constraints. Sometimes when I mess things up, I think that's what kind of pushes.
Pressure makes people perform better. Sometimes.
And I think time.
I like it,
but it would be really hard for me because I like. I think I honestly like when everybody else is happy more than I like when I'm happy. I think I like that more in my life. That's just my default is I want everybody to be happy. So if in my world everybody was just happy all the time, I think
not real.
But I would know that though.
I think your dad's a lot like that because your dad does the things he does for us. Granted, he has fun along the way, but like his follow up on Sunday, I hope everybody had fun. He just doesn't say that to say that. He genuinely means, God, I hope to God everybody fucking had a blast yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's no different like you talk about. You go to your house or your dad doesn't sit the fuck down. Like he's making sure that everything's perfect and this and that.
I think that runs in our family too.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I mean, bringing the bugles out at 9:30 or whatever
that's such a great quality though.
And
it's such a great quality.
But I think that goes for everybody in here. I think everybody in here, I mean, every time we come over to your house, you're the same way. We came over and basically crashed your 4th of July party, and you didn't sit down the whole time. You were asking whether I needed a drink, whether I needed a seat, whether I need food, cigars.
I'll be honest, my family's a lot like that too. And I'll be honest, if you're brought up the right way, you always want guilty. I'm going to say I'm guilty.
Hey, that was a lesson in the Bible about welcoming people into your home. You're supposed to be a good host. Even Jesus said that was the way you should do it.
Because it is important.
Treat everybody like they're your friends.
Because you're right. Don't you want people, and I think your dad's a lot like that, you want people to walk away, and not that he gives a fuck about what people think, but you want people to go away feeling good and feeling like, you know what, man, Mark Delbrook, I tell you what a good fucking dude, man. Like he made sure that everything was special that day. I don't know how the fucker does it. If you want to know the truth, like he runs on fumes. Like I mean, even when I got that text at 5:58, that one, like I mean, I'm like, dude, you just got done.
And now more than ever,
36 hours.
Yeah,
now more than ever with his
he's an
football Fridays
Yeah.
and stuff.
Is there anything worse than going into a place where you don't feel welcome now?
Oh, horrible.
They're just not a good host.
and you know it instantly too.
You do.
You feel it.
How many
like,
times do you guys experience that? Because I'm trying to think of them.
Oh, I've had a couple.
Yeah.
I've had a couple.
Like at people's houses?
Yeah.
But how
Yeah,
did you
I've had
end
a
up
couple.
there if you weren't welcome?
Well,
just not welcome, but just like they're just
They're put out that
I
you're
know
there?
one that I'm not going to bring up right now. We'll talk about it afterwards.
I mean, I feel like, again, it goes back to self-awareness. Usually if you show up, you know pretty quickly if they're busy with something, they don't want people around. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm getting the hell out of here.
More from my experience, it would be when I was younger, like a little kid, and like you're too scared to ask for any like food or anything, and
I
they're
get
just
that.
not offering it. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that could be an
got you.
example.
Well, here I got an example. We have what we do, and it's kind of cool. We have family holiday party. It's a family that I have in Pittsburgh, and everybody takes their turn on having the party every year. And now we went to 2 parties. We do a summer party and a winter party. Well, one of my family, my cousin who's a female, they don't listen to this, so I'm good to go. And actually, if they were, I'd say the same fucking thing. But she likes having it at her house.
Yeah.
Her husband
Does
fucking
not.
detests it. So at the end of the day, like, and he's not a host, and he would not make you feel welcome when he comes in. And he was the dude, like, he's fucking running the sweeper. And it was, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the indicator, like, okay, I've had my fill. Time for you all to get the
let's
fuck
go.
out of here.
And you can sense that too when somebody's ready for you to leave. Like
Yeah.
my dad will even do that too at some point in the night.
Well,
like
again,
it's
self-awareness.
Like,
At some
it's
point
like-
when the guy's sitting there dozing off,
Yes.
like, you might want to
Yes,
leave.
yes.
I felt that way, though, going to restaurants or bars before.
Yeah.
Where you have somebody that feels like you're
Like a
intruding
bartender?
on.
Yeah.
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 And that's when I check,
Gone.
please, see ya.
Exactly.
I'm
Bye.
not fucking
I'll
around
give
with
you
that.
money.
But yeah, I'm always of the persuasion of like we had the interns over.
Yeah.
They came over to the dinner or the breakfast, and
Yeah.
I always. I mean, one of them's my cousin, obviously, and she's been to my house multiple times. But the other one I've spoken to maybe four times in my life. But being able to tell a person, make yourself at home. If you need something, take whatever you want, have whatever you want. There should be, if you're having people at your house, there should be no problem with you being able to say that. Like you don't have to ask. Now, granted, if you need to, like, if you want to take like a bottle of liquor, okay. But like, if you need a drink, I shouldn't make you feel uncomfortable to the point you have to ask me overnight. Now, is that proper manners? Yeah. But I feel I always want to make somebody feel like you come to my house, it's your house for 6 hours or however long you're here. And sometimes, and we've been in this scenario where it doesn't exactly feel like that, but not to their fault, but just the way that it was.
Well, here, that is a great example, and we'll start wrapping this up, is obviously one of them is your cousin, but the other girl really doesn't know us at all.
Yeah.
And and not making this a male or female thing, it's a male-driven event.
Male dominant,
Yeah, male dominant. And you have a girl that doesn't
20
know any
drunken
of us.
males.
Yeah.
20 drunken dudes. We're starting off our thing at 8:00 in the morning doing a shot. That, you know what, I would imagine that there isn't a lot of comfortableness with that. So for everybody, and I felt like the group did a really nice job with that too, on, we appreciated them. I know I physically, I probably wore them out on telling them thank you as many times as I did on appreciate what you did, because they got up on their fucking Sunday too to come fucking take pictures of us idiots.
Yeah, and I said, I know that. I told him afterwards, I was like, I know we're speaking of the golf, which is a horrendous display of golfing performance.
Hey, two-time champion right here.
Yeah. But I told him, I was like, I know. Which made me feel good. I said, I know this wasn't the most thrilling thing to watch as far as golf goes. And then she was like, that was the most entertaining thing.
I got the same thing too.
Yeah.
So much to be, honestly, for her to say, because I said too, I'm like, I'm just gonna let you know, we got a fucking bunch of idiots with this group. She said, no, I'm having a great time.
Yeah. And they came over and had some breakfast, but I want to thank them for doing that, number one. But it's always good to know that a person isn't wanting to leave immediately. Like they came up,
when is this over?
And they came up to me and said, "Hey, are we invited to the breakfast?" And I think Chris was with me, and he said, "That's not even in the question. Just come, just follow the cars." But there's something about, and I think this is an overarching theme of this whole podcast, is just being a person that people want to be around, and being a person that when you're around others, you are welcoming,
Yes.
accepting, accommodating to people. And at the end of the day, we're all humans that are doing the same exact thing on the same exact. We got one life with however many years, and you should do it to the best quality to your fellow man. And I think that it goes without saying.
I would say that's almost like the mission statement
of
this.
Summarization.
Just welcoming and all inclusive. We'll give anybody a chance and be hospitable to all.
I think we said that before. It's like, we'll give you a chance, though. Like,
I mean, if it's up to you, if you waste it or you don't like it, then that's if you come in and rob the house or come over and raid the buffet, we don't even know you're there. Or not without asking. That might be a little different. But you
might rub the wrong way.
I mean, literally, your dad would never turn away anybody. None of us would.
I don't think anybody here would. No. And I think that is just a quality.
But that's that goes back to how we were all raised.
And you got to feel bad too for people that don't get to experience that in their life. Like a person.
Don't you see that shock sometimes around people in our group?
Oh my God!
Even if it's been guests, like professional guests and things. I think people are sometimes stunned that we're like, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because I can be an asshole with the best of them, but like I feel like we are nice people. We are going to be genuinely nice and fair and welcoming, and I think that makes people like, wow, like these guys aren't like total dicks. Like I'm not that. I don't want to say they think that right away, but like you said, Jeff, sometimes it can be intimidating with a bunch of loudmouth guys and not knowing who we are, but they realize like these guys really aren't that terrible.
Just normal average Joe.
But back to your point, it could have been one of those scenarios where okay, I'm invited to go back. Okay, I'm a little hungry right now, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to grab a little just grub and see what's going on, and then not feeling comfortable and like, okay, it's time for me to leave. The girl, I mean, your cousin's going to stick around obviously longer, but even the other girl stuck around for a lot longer than I thought she was. And I thought that says a lot too, because she felt comfortable. She was having a couple beers.
Yes.
She's probably sitting back going, my God, I can't believe these fucking idiots do what they do. But I just think, I'll be honest, I think that speaks volume as well to allude to your guys' point, Tim.
I like when people are happy. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that people are happy. I know that everybody here is of the same demographic. I mean, when we have the Christmas parties here, you're always in, and we've had the scenarios where there are people
liven it up. I'll tell you
that you pull the ripcord on.
Oh well, we've had party crashers. Yeah, not necessarily at the Pine Room. Well, we had that one kid, your neighbor, come just out of nowhere. Yeah. Soup's like he's eating plates of food. He's filling it up like it was his last day.
Taking him over to his dad.
He's feeding the whole family, and then we've only ever had one near physical altercation to the Pine Room.
Yeah, that almost happened. Yeah, and then it happened here was one, but those are rare, few and far between, which hopefully you don't have to deal with much.
One more thing about that. I still think, and I am going to throw up us one time, most of the time when you get a group of dudes together week in and week out, and you throw in alcohol, and you throw in gambling, you throw in people winning money, you throw in people losing money,
sports,
you throw in people and winners and losers, you throw in people maybe had a bad week, whatever the dynamic is, for us to be able to walk and be able to have the fun that we do, and there hasn't been any riffraff. I mean, I know the one situation that I wasn't even there for,
which was kind of an extenuating situation,
and it wasn't even like one of our regular group of guys.
It was kind of I don't. It was a different circumstance. I don't even remember.
Plus, that was in the infancy of the whole thing.
And that is true. But I think it's truly impressive that happens. I really do, because most people that have known each other their whole lives, now granted you guys have known each other longer because you guys are family, but people that have known each other for a long time can't even do that.
Yeah. Right.
So I'll be honest with you, once again, I love you all, fuckers. Yeah. Love you all.
If by chance you're ever invited up to hang out with this group, I hope that you
don't mess it up.
Don't fuck it up. You won't be asked back, fuckers.
You get one chance,
and that's
you don't nail it, it's over for you.
That's it. There better be an apology or a plate of food or something. But
I'm thinking about that kid. He goes back over to his house and he's like, "Hey, it's time for dinner, Johnny." It's like, "No, I'm just ate a whole bunch of
I'm fucking stuffed.
Do me a favor,
go grab me a plate. Feed your brother.
There's 6 plates in the fridge.
Here's the deal: we don't need it tonight, but get it for tomorrow so we can have that for lunch.
Hey, I got a big day tomorrow. Come on, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Man.
All right. All right.
Oh, this is me.
You start us in.
Hey, for the Pine Room Podcast in the Pine Room Studios, episode 125 for Jubber Jub and the Funky Bunch, Tyler Cooley and Matthew Watson. This is a guy by the name of Jeff Doyle. Thanks for listening. We appreciate everybody's support. Until the next time at the Pine Room.